Ladies and gentlemen, the Alabama Senate will now come to order. Our prayer today will be led by Reverend Melvin Owens. Dr. Owens serves as the pastor for Mount Zion Missionary Church in Lafayette and is a member of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
Let's pray. Eternal God, our Father, pause at the beginning of this session to acknowledge your sovereignty, your wisdom, and your presence. We thank you for the privilege of living in a state and nation where voices can be heard, laws can be shaped, and leaders can serve for the common good. Grant to these senators clarity of mind, steadiness of purpose, and purity of intention. Let wisdom rise above partisanship and compassion rise above conflict and truth rise above convenience. Guide their deliberations so that justice may roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Bless their families who support them, their constituents who depend on them, and the communities whose futures are shaped by the decisions made in this chamber. Strengthen them for the weight of responsibility and remind them that leadership is both a duty and a sacred trust. As they debate, decide, and discern, let your people govern their spirit. Let your peace govern their spirits, your light illuminate their path, and your love anchor their motives. May the work done today build bridges rather than erect barriers. May they honor you and uplift the people of this great state. We submit this session to you, believing that in all our ways, if we acknowledge you, you will direct our paths. In the mighty, matchless, and marvelous name of Jesus Christ our Lord, we ask these blessings in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Today, the pledge will be led by Caleb Latham. Caleb is a senior honor student at Brubaker Technology High School.
Attention, salute, pledge.
All right, thank you, Caleb. Secretary, call the roll.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Allen, Mr. Barfoot, Mr. Beasley, Mr. Bell, Mr. Butler, Mr. Carnley, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Chasteen, Ms. Coleman, Ms. Coleman Madison, Mr. Elliott, Ms. Figures, Mr. Gavan, Mr. Gudger, Mr. Hatcher, Mr. Hovey, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Melson, Mr. Orr, Mr. Price, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shellnut, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have 28 senators present, which is a quorum, and the Senate is ready to transact business.
Mr. President,
Senator Wagner.
move that we excuse absent senators.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. President,
Senator Wagner.
move that we dispense with the reading of the journal from the previous legislative day and that we adopt said journal.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, now move on to introduction of bill. Senator Kitchens.
Mr. President, I move that we allow for the introduction of bills at any point throughout the day.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. Senator Kitchens.
I move that we allow for the acceptance of committee reports at any time throughout the day.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, I want to recognize some special guests. Well, I'll wait till he gets back. All right. All right, now move on to House messages. Before we do that, recognize some special guests in the gallery, the guests of the Democrat caucus, the brothers of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and then special guest Southern Providence Polemark Jason Jones Esquire, Montgomery Alumni Chapter Polemark Deandra Meadows. If y'all could please stand, all of y'all, welcome to the Alabama Senate. Great to have y'all with us today.
Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 507 by Representative Hammett, a proposed constitutional amendment regarding Covington County, is referred to the Committee on Local Legislation. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 422 by Representative Gray regarding sales and use tax is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation Education. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 423 by Representative Gray regarding sales and use taxes was referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation Education. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 388 by Representative Faulkner regarding sales and use taxes is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation Education. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 378 by Representative Collins regarding taxation is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation General Fund. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 394 by Representatives Lawrence and Jackson regarding sales and use taxes is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation Education. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 379 by Representative Collins regarding the entertainment industry is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation Education. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has originated and passed the following House bill and ordered same sent forthwith to the Senate without engrossment. House Bill number 425 by Representative Gidley regarding sales and use taxes is referred to the Committee on Finance and Taxation Education. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk. Message from the House. Mr. President, the House of Representatives has amended as therein shown and is amended has passed the following Senate bill and returns same herewith to the Senate. Senate Bill number 259 regarding counties. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, we concur with the House on the House amendment, and
Use the long roll.
move for the long roll.
Okay. Secretary, call the long roll. Before we do that, special guest in the gallery, Representative Simpson. I know you've had a tough thing. Welcome to the Alabama Senate. Glad you're doing well. Good to have you here. All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot, Mr. Beasley, Mr. Bell, Mr. Butler, Mr. Carnley, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Chasteen, Ms. Coleman, Ms. Coleman Madison, Mr. Elliott, Ms. Figures, Mr. Gavan, Mr. Gudger, Mr. Hatcher, Mr. Hovey, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Milson, Mr. Orr, Mr. Price, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shellnut, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods,
Twenty-nine ayes, 0 nays. The Senate concurs on Senate Bill 259.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members.
All right, thank you. All right, Secretary, call the next House message.
Message from the House, Mr. President. The House of Representatives has amended as therein shown and is amended as passed the following Senate bill and returned same herewith to the Senate. Senate Bill number 228 regarding the Alabama Space Authority. Signed, John Treadwell, Clerk.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to concur with the House on SB 228 and using previous rule without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Strawbritton. Mr. Woods.
29 ayes, 0 nays. The Senate concurs on Senate Bill 228.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Concludes the House messages. Now move on to committee reports. Secretary, call the first committee.
From the Judiciary Committee, House Bill number 227 receives a favorable report by vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays. From the Judiciary Committee, House Bill number 454 receives a favorable report by vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays. From Judiciary, House Bill number 266 receives a favorable report by vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays. From Judiciary, Senate Bill number 296 receives a favorable report with substitute by vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays. From Judiciary, House Bill number 37 receives a favorable report with substitute by vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays. From Judiciary, House Bill number 429 receives a favorable report by vote of 10 ayes, 1 nay. From Judiciary, House Bill number 249 receives a favorable report by vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays. From Judiciary, House Bill number 328 receives a favorable report by vote of 10 ayes and 1 nay. From Judiciary, House Bill number 111 receives a favorable report by a vote of 9 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 abstention. From Judiciary, House Bill number 26 receives a favorable report by a vote of 12 ayes and 0 nays. From Judiciary, Senate Bill number 261 receives a favorable report by a vote of 11 ayes and 0 nays.
These bills received a second reading and be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. Secretary called next committee.
From the Committee on County and Municipal Government, House Bill number 2 receives a favorable report by a vote of 6 ayes and 2 nays. From County and Municipal Government, House Bill number 163 receives a favorable report by a vote of 8 ayes and 0 nays. From County and Municipal Government, Senate Bill number 326 receives a favorable report by a vote of 8 ayes and 0 nays. From County and Municipal Government, House Bill number 17 receives a favorable report by a vote of 8 ayes and 0 nays. From County and Municipal Government, House Bill number 363 receives a favorable report with substitute by a vote of 6 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 abstention.
These bills received a second reading and be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. Secretary called next committee.
From the Committee on Local Legislation, House Bill number 490 receives a favorable report. From the Committee on Local Legislation, House Bill number 491 receives a favorable report.
These bills received a second reading and be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. Before we call the next bill, I want to recognize a special guest in the gallery, a guest of everyone from North Alabama, Jeff Sams, the CEO of Huntsville Hospital. If you could please stand. Welcome to the Alabama Senate. Great to have you here today. Appreciate what you do. All right, Secretary, called next committee.
From Local Legislation, Shelby County, House Bill number 493 receives a favorable report with 1 amendment by a vote of 4 ayes and 0 nays.
All right, these bills received a second reading and be placed on the calendar for next legislative day. This concludes committee reports. Now move on to motions and resolutions.
President,
Senator Elliott.
I have a bill I need to recommit, please.
All right, any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered. Go ahead and read.
Senate Bill number 333 is re-referred to Local Legislation, Mobile County.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, any motions or resolutions?
President, I have an SJR.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the SJR.
Senate Joint Resolution number 68 by Senator Livingston and others, commending and honoring Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan David Schultz, USAF, for his distinguished military service and contributions to the state of Alabama.
Mr. President, I'd like to consider immediate action and add all senators.
All right, any objection? All right, hearing none, so ordered. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution's adopted. Thank you, Senator Livingston.
Mr. President, I have just a resolution to send to rules.
All right, Secretary, send the resolution to rules, please. Any other motions or resolutions?
Mr. President, I have a resolution.
All right, Secretary Reed, receive the resolution, please.
Senate Joint Resolution number 69 by Senator Bell, commending Honda on 25 years of operating its automotive plant in Alabama.
Mr. President, ask for immediate consideration and add all senators. No objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution's adopted. All right, Senator Hovey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have a resolution.
All right, Secretary Reed, receive the resolution, please.
Senate Joint Resolution number 70 by Senator Hovey, commending Mrs. Kelly Fisher on being named the 2025-2026 Alabama High School Principal of the Year.
Mr. President,
Senator
I
Hovey.
ask for immediate consideration and that all senators be added.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution's adopted. All right, any other motions or resolutions? Any other motions or resolutions? Senator Gavan?
I have a HJR. I'd like to be considered immediately if there's no objection.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. Secretary Reed, receive the HJR, please. Oh, HJR? All right. Any other motions or resolutions? All right. Now move on to, Senator Bell.
Mr. President, need to recommit a bill to.
All right. Any objection for recommittal of a piece of legislation? Hearing none, so ordered.
Senate Bill number 292 has been re-referred to the Committee on County and Municipal Government.
All right, Senator Weaver.
I have a resolution. I'd like to ask for immediate consideration and all senators be added as co-sponsors.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, Secretary Reed, receive the resolution.
Senate Joint Resolution number 71 by Senator Weaver, commending Peggy Sellers Benson on the occasion of her retirement as Executive Officer of the Alabama Board of Nursing.
Senator Weaver.
I'd like to ask for immediate consideration with adding all senators as co-sponsors.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, want to move for adoption?
Yes, I'd like
All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Resolution's adopted. Thanks, Senator Weaver.
Mr. President, may I have a point of personal privilege?
You're recognized.
I would like to wish one of our colleagues just had a birthday yesterday. And I would like us all to wish the gentleman from Jefferson County, Senator Roger Smitherman, a happy belated birthday. Let's give him a round of applause.
All right, happy birthday, Senator.
As the song says, for he's a jolly good fellow that nobody can deny. And I also want to have another announcement. And I know we've been a little late today because what's going on. We had the semifinals today. And I want to congratulate the Southside Selma for winning the semifinals today, 3A semifinals. And they played a team that the Lieutenant Governor knows very well. We won't rub that in, but we want to commend Southside Selma. This is a great week for us. We got the Bridge Crossing Jubilee, and then we can go home and gloat some more over some funnel cakes and polo sausage. Thank you.
Yes, Senator, congratulations. Y'all had a good team. When you're up 16 in the first half and you lose, sometimes you deserve to lose. So, all right, moving on. Local legislation. Secretary, call the first bill.
Page 45 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 324 by Senator Hovey regarding Tallapoosa County. BR pending.
Senator Chambliss.
Mr. President, I move the BR using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 45 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 324 by Senator Hovey regarding Tallapoosa County.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 324 passes. All right, Secretary, call the next local bill.
On page 45 of the calendar, House Bill number 485 by Representative Jackson, a proposed constitutional amendment regarding Clark County. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BR using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
Page 45 of the calendar, House Bill number 485 by Representative Jackson, a proposed constitutional amendment regarding Clark County.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, no nays.
30 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 485 passes.
Mr. President, I move certification
All right,
using the previous roll.
all right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. Certification resolutions adopted. All right, Secretary, call the next local bill.
On page 46 of the calendar, House Bill number 479 by Representative Robbins regarding Coosa County. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BR using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 46 of the calendar, House Bill number 479 by Representative Robbins regarding Coosa County.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 479 passes. Secretary, call the next local bill.
On page 46 of the calendar, House Bill number 410 by Representatives Crawford and others regarding Limestone County. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BR using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 46 of the calendar, House Bill number 410 by Representatives Crawford and others regarding Limestone County.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous roll.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 410 passes. Secretary, call the next local bill.
On page 46 of the calendar, House Bill number 412 by Representatives Crawford and others regarding Limestone County. BR pending.
Mr. President, I move the BR using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 46 of the calendar, House Bill number 412 by Representative Crawford and others regarding Limestone County.
Mr. President, I move final passage using the previous roll.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. House Bill 412 passes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. All right.
Mr. President,
Senator Wagner.
I have a report from the Committee on Rules.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the report from the Committee on Rules.
From the Committee on Rules, Senate Resolution Number 72, Special Order Calendar. Be it resolved by the Senate of the Legislature of Alabama that immediately upon the adoption of this resolution, the following business in the order set forth below shall be the special and paramount order of business for the 18th legislative day, taking precedence over the regular order of business or any pending or unfinished business. On page 45, Senate Bill Number 269 by Senator Singleton regarding ground ambulance services. On page 3, Senate Bill 105 by Senator Kelly and others regarding counties and municipalities. On page 2, Senate Bill Number 32 by Senator Kitchens regarding solid waste collection fees. On page 42, Senate Bill Number 5 by Senator Allen regarding public schools. And on page 11, Senate Bill Number 57 by Senators Orr and others regarding public assistance.
Mr. President, move adoption of the report from the Committee on Rules using the previous roll call.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
30 ayes, 0 nays. Special order calendar is adopted. All right, Senator Van.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to bring up SB 254, the call of the chair.
All right, Secretary, bring up SB, what's the number? 254?
254.
254.
On page 22 of the calendar, Senate Bill Number 254 by Senator Gavan regarding parole.
Mr. President, I have an amendment.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill Number 254 by Senator Gavan. Replace lines 91 through 96 on page 4 with the following. Delete lines 101 through 113 on pages 4 through 5. Restore lines 114 through 120 on page 5. Delete lines 121 through 146 on pages 5 through 6. Replace lines 200 through 209 on page 8 with the following.
All right, Senator Gavan.
I would move for adoption of the amendment using previous roll without objection. This is the amendment that was proposed by the DA's Association.
Could you
Yeah, Senator.
just a little bit more of the explanation of what you did in there?
So the bottom line is what they, if you recall what we talked about in committee, that this was a situation where, and there's other examples, but I give the example of one of my constituents who had gotten out on parole, was having a successful life, happened to have a medical condition that had a urinary situation, and basically he's still sitting in the penitentiary because he had to relieve himself because the officers wouldn't let him. He's never been convicted. The case has been null pros, but yet the state of Alabama is still entertaining him for urinating in the dark. And so there's a question has come up about, well, does the pardons of parole have the ability to look at this now? Some people think they do. We dialed this bill back to clarify that they do have the discretion to do it, and just making a clarification. Some of the other provisions that were in there have been dialed back at the request of the DAs. It's my understanding that they will support the bill with this amendment, and that's why we've offered the amendment.
Thank you for bringing the amendment.
Thank you. So I would move for adoption of the amendment using previous roll without objection.
Long roll? Okay. Secretary, call long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley, Mr. Bell, Mr. Butler, Mr. Carnley, Mr. Chambliss, Mr. Chastain, Ms. Coleman, Ms. Coleman Madison, Mr. Elliott, Ms. Figures, Mr. Gavan, Mr. Gudger, Mr. Hatcher, Mr. Hovey, Mr. Jones, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kitchens, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Melson, Mr. Orr, Mr. Price, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Sessions, Mr. Shellnut, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Smitherman, Mr. Stewart, Mr. Stutz, Mr. Wagner, Ms. Weaver, Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods.
26 ayes, 2 nays. Senator Gavan, amendments adopted. Senator Gavan.
I would move for final passage using previous roll without objection.
All right. Senator Smith, Senator Singleton, did y'all want to talk on this? Okay. All right. Any objection? Hearing none. Long roll or short roll? What was your motion?
Previous roll.
Previous roll? All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
26 ayes, 2 nays. Senate Bill 254 passes. Thanks, Senator Gavan.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Secretary, call the first bill on the calendar.
On page 45 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 269 by Senator Singleton regarding ground ambulance services. BR pending.
Yeah, Mr. President, thank you. I would like to have a motion for the BR use the previous roll without objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
$25 ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 45 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 269 by Senator Singleton regarding health insurance. Committee substitute pending.
Mr. President, this was a committee substitute on this bill. It was a little bit different from the House. We were able to bring in PHIP and CHIP back into this bill. And with that, we're just trying to make sure that, everyone who's going to be a player in here gets to play and gets to play fairly. I think this bill is really a bill about a matter of life and death. And when you start talking about not only in urban areas, but when you're living in rural areas, it becomes a problem when you can't get ambulance service, especially with hospitals closing down on a daily and weekly basis. This bill basically deals with 3 major components. It regulates the provision of emergency ground ambulance services in the state by imposing requirements on reimbursement by health insurers and ambulance service. It deals with no surprise billing, and it will prohibit. It will require that both ground ambulance service and healthcare insurers submit reports on their operation with financial information to the Alabama Department of Public Health. This is also a bill that's basically a pilot, and we're going to look at it. This bill was sunset on June 1st, 2029. I see the gentleman across from me may have some questions about this bill, and I'm open to if you want to speak on the substitute.
Yeah, Mr.
All
President.
right, Senator Stutz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Singleton, I do have a couple of questions, and I'm not going to filibuster your bill. I just want to talk about it a few minutes. And, we're looking at a big picture of healthcare costs and insurance premium costs and all those kind of things. And I'm for rural areas having ambulance services. I live in a rural area. I practiced medicine in a relatively rural area for a long time. I'm well aware of rescue squad ambulance services and all that, trying to serve rural areas. But my problem with the bill is, and it's more of a philosophical thing of healthcare costs in general, and you know why if your hospital bills are so high, right? Because they do a lot of cost shifting. All hospitals do that. And I'm making some of the numbers up. I don't have the statistics. I'm just talking from my common knowledge and not looking up numbers. But we're going to say half the people that are in the hospital don't pay their bill. Well, the other half has to bear all those costs. And so the half that is paying, that makes their bill extraordinarily high, which in turn drives up their insurance premiums, because the insurance that we're going to just say for sake of discussion that 50% of people have, they're covering the health care for everybody because half of them aren't paying the bill, right? And so what we're doing on this bill, and that cost shifting happens all the time in medical care, because as a society, we've kind of decided that anybody gets care and they all get the same level of care whether they pay for it or not. And so the ones that are paying have to bear the brunt of all the costs. My point with this ambulance bill is, there are a lot of people that call ambulances that don't need them, but there are a lot of people that when they do call an ambulance, and again, you may have the exact numbers and may be able to correct me, but off the top of my head, I would say probably 20 to 25% of the people that ride in an ambulance don't pay anything for that ambulance ride. So if we're going to say it's 20%, just for the sake of discussion, then the other 80% have to pick up the bill for paying for all of the ambulance rides. But what this bill does is it narrows it down even more and exempts several other groups. So we're ending up with only 10 or 15% of the people bearing the brunt of the increased costs, which in turn is going to drive up insurance premiums, which in turn is going to affect small business owners, going to affect people that are self-insured and having just a plan being administered. So my point is, in the hospital scenario, we're cost shifting maybe 50-50. In this scenario with the ambulance issues, we're cost shifting more of the cost to a smaller percentage of the people. And we're shifting it to the people that are trying to pay for everybody else. And I understand ambulance services operate at a loss a lot of times. They struggle to make ends meet, and they're needed in rural areas. I fully understand that, but I'm saying this bill unduly shifts the cost to a very small percentage of the people. And that's why I'm going to vote no on the bill.
Well, let me just say this to you. In this bill is a thing called treat in place, okay? So we're trying to make sure that on some of those calls that can be treated in place, which will save money from going to what we know that's going to be very expensive and going into an ER room. Would you correct?
I understand. And if they get to the ER, there may not be a doctor there because we don't necessarily have a doctor in the ER, but that's a whole other point.
I understand your bill that you wanted, but still, most 90% of our hospitals are covered with an ER doctor. Okay?
Yeah, we're making the assumption that if you get transported to the ER, there's somebody there to take care of you.
No,
So
well, let me just say
ambulances
for
are
what I know,
important.
in my hospitals, there are someone there, okay? So I can
understood.
only assume based on what I know,
Yeah.
all right? So I'm saying to you is that when we start talking about treat in place will save money to the healthcare system, all right? And so if you don't have to transport that person to the hospital, based on you talking about shifting costs, we're trying to put measures in here now that would allow the savings to keep from being able to have the transport in network, out of network, whatever network it is, to get to that emergency room, whether it's 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, or 40 miles down the road, to where, as you know, in the rural, sometimes it'd be that far to get to the hospital. I know if in the largest regional hospital to me would be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And so that's about a 40-mile, if you're on the south end of the county, that's about a 45 to 50-mile ride to go to DCH. But if we could treat in place, if it's not that serious, because a lot of these ambulance rides, like you said, people are just calling, right? You made that example, people just calling. It may be anxiety, it may be they didn't take their medicine, it may be something else. But if we could take that treat in place and make it work right there, that's a huge saving for insurers at that point in time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, but I think that this bill, what you're saying that this bill creates a problem, I think the bill creates a solution to parts of what you're talking about.
And who's going to be making the decision of whether or not to treat in place?
Well, I mean, we make whoever make the decision to take them away. Okay,
I mean, that's a triage kind
the
of
triage
decision.
guy, the people who are on the ambulance, they do that. They tell you whether or not, they need to go or not. It could be just somebody out of breath or somebody just having anxiety, and they can tell. Otherwise, the vitals are good, they're okay, they seem to be stabilized. Do we need to go ride to the hospital or not? No, they don't need to go. So we can treat them in place and let them stay there at home. Yeah. That makes a difference. So you're a medical professional, just like anybody else who's there. Those are the people who make that call. It's not like they got to get on the phone and call somebody and say, do we need to keep them here or do we need to ride? That doesn't happen. People act spontaneously based on what the needs are once they arrive at that residence.
Yeah, and so if they decide to treat in place, who's liable for that decision? If we have a paramedic with the ambulance service that decides that patient can be treated in place and they really don't need to be transported to the hospital, and turns out they were wrong, and
well, I mean, all of this is about judgment call on that, okay? You and I can't predict what that may be. We respect the training of the medical professions who drives that ambulance, who are going to show up at our home to be knowledgeable about situations that they're coming into. That's what we expect. That's a reasonable expectation that you and I have as a customer, right?
Absolutely. And
that's a
when you
reasonable
get
expectation for us to do that.
Somebody's going to be qualified to take care of you. I understand.
So now whether or not they make the decision, now if I am the customer and say, hey, I want to go to the hospital, don't just leave me here, I think that they have a duty then to carry me on.
Yeah.
Okay? If I still feel that I need to go. But if they get me there, and if it's something like, hey, you just didn't take your medicine today. I know in Tuscaloosa, they tried an experiment about 3 or 4 years ago about sending a social worker out on a call. And some of those calls that they got, and you could just about tell who making that 911 on a regular basis, because they get it all the time. And they know little Bobby, he just had some drinks and he just scared and he landed at the house, his heart go to beating fast, and he don't know what's wrong with him because he just mixed a little weed with a little alcohol, and they don't know what went on with little Bobby, okay? Now his heart beating real fast, he think he's having a heart attack. But he called every week about that, right?
Right.
And so now we're going to send little April out to go see little Bobby, right? We'll send Nurse Weaver out, to see little Bobby. But little Bobby don't need to be transported to the hospital for that. Little Bobby can be treated in place. Look, Bobby, you just need to settle down. You're just having some anxiety, somebody to talk him through it. Maybe, take you some medicine. Maybe you just need a Tylenol. Now the ambulance can go on back. It's just about treating place. Now we ain't got to take that ride to the hospital for them to tell little Bobby, man, ain't nothing wrong with you. Take yourself on back home and stop drinking that alcohol and mixing it with other
understood,
stuff.
but I'm saying that's putting that ambulance service in a very awkward position to make that call out in the field. And I think we got somebody else that wants to dialogue with me about it.
Yes, you do. And I'm going to let y'all, I need to step to the back to the principal's office. If y'all would just hold this till I get back, okay?
Yeah.
But
is it okay while you're gone if I carry the bill over?
no, I would like to leave this mic without any emotions.
Senator Singleton, we're going to do whatever you want, 'cause you brought little Bobby back.
Thank you
All right?
very much. Thank you.
All right.
And so I just want to say, for the sake of little Bobby, don't make me have to go to the hospital and get that bus and take it out of network, okay? Because when you call, if I could do it right there in place, then I don't have to take that bus out of operation that may be a half an hour away. And then I got another emergency on the lower end of the county, and I don't even have an ambulance. Now it's gonna take them another hour and a half before they get to that person. So if we can keep ambulances in some of these small rural communities without having to make those long trips, let us work through this bill and make that work for people. Let's save some lives.
So,
and I'll be right back.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Senator Roberts.
President. Go ahead, Dr.
Oh, I understand where he's coming from on the issue about that bill, but I just think it's an awkward position to put the ambulance service in to not only be prepared to transport, but be prepared to triage the patient and see if they even need to be transported. And if they make the decision they don't need to be transported, then they're responsible for treating them on site. And I think that's a whole difficult situation to put that ambulance service in for a little bit more reimbursement. But my main objection is the extreme cost shifting in this bill, that you're asking a very small percentage of people that ride in an ambulance to pay the increased rate to cover everybody back. The segment of the ambulance riders that's not paying anything is probably double the amount that this bill would pass the cost on to. So that's my objection to the bill.
I was just going to ask a question, Mr. President.
You're recognized.
It's kind of scary. I think Senator Stutz is making sense to me today. So
you're coming around. I've been working on
11 years.
Realize the errors of your ways for a long time. Sounds like you're finally catching up.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to see you agreeing with me.
Yeah. Well, it just, why are we thinking that an ambulance driver can make medical decisions? I guess because we've expanded so many people's scope of practice around here. Now we're making ambulance drivers urgent care people. And that, I would hate to think that my decision whether I go to the hospital is based on an ambulance driver. I think the sponsor said that if the person insists they could need to go to the hospital, they will take them anyway.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, like I said, that's an awkward position. And you're like me. You've worked in, even though that wasn't my primary specialty, I've worked in a bunch of emergency room shifts, moonlighting in rural hospitals, and worked a bunch of shifts in the Pickens County Medical Center. And there was one ambulance service in town, and if you were free and could ride in the ambulance when they transported somebody, it was a lot of fun. But again, that often it's hard to make that decision, and you got somebody that's got maybe chest pain, maybe indigestion. A significant percentage of people that come in with a heart attack come in with a chief complaint of indigestion.
You give them a green lizard.
And you're asking somebody to make that decision in the field of, I just got indigestion. Well, you have too seen people that came in that had been taking Tums for 12 hours and You get them get an EKG and they're right in the middle of an acute MI. And you're asking somebody to make that decision out in the field of whether that case of indigestion needs to be transported or treated in place or whatever. And I just don't think that's a good direction to go.
And some of my concern is the liability that you mentioned earlier. If it's a county service, and are these county ambulance going to be falling under this, and are they going to have to assume the liability for the guy who's driving an ambulance to make that decision? Is that going to fall back on them? I don't.
That was one of the questions I had too. Here you and I go agreeing again. You know, who's going to be responsible for the liability if you make a wrong decision on the transport and decide to treat in place and they should have been transported? Anyway,
No, I mean, kind of scaring me today.
And you know, and the other question is if they are going to make that decision, and they, how are they going to get out there to make that decision? Are they going to drive the ambulance out there? And if they are, then that's not freeing up the ambulance to go somewhere else, like you said. And if they're not going to drive the ambulance and they get there and decide that they need to be transported, then you've delayed their transport for another 30 minutes or an hour while the ambulance does get there.
But guys, y'all are doctors. Treating place happens all the time. Ambulance goes out a lot of times to find out people don't need to go nowhere. They don't transport them at all.
Absolutely.
It happens every day. So let's not try to act like this is some brand new situation in medical condition. Like you bringing up something that's just brand new out of the, you know that this happens all the time. Ambulance don't carry everybody to the hospital that they get a call from. They treat them, and they go out there, and they may give them oxygen, they might talk to them, and they might check them, they take an EKG, they might do it all right there on the spot and make that decision that they don't need to go. It happens every day. Every day. So y'all trying to act like this is something brand new. You doctors know better than that. Y'all gonna still get paid when they get to the hospital. Is this trying to protect doctors in now?
Not at all. It's but it's protecting patients and their insurance costs.
And I want to protect patients too. But I also want people to be able to live also.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that if we trust people to get in that bus, train to get in that bus every day and answer a 911 call, then we can trust their decision to make that, whether it's going to be treated in place or if they see it serious enough to make that call to carry them on out to the hospital. People make missed calls all the time. Sometimes people will say, I don't want to go, okay? And they refuse to get in the ambulance and go somewhere and then still have that heart attack and die.
Understood.
It happens every day.
And the majority of people that come to the ER don't need to be in the ER.
I agree.
That's where, you know,
let's save a little money right here. Let's save the insurers a little money. Let's save the state of Alabama a little money, okay? Let's say that ambulance service, you know, from having to transport out when we can have that bus ready to go for the next emergency. It is happening, people. People are dying every day simply because of the things that are going on in emergency health care. If every hospital was 10 minutes away, I might be able to agree with y'all. But every hospital ain't 10 minutes away.
Yeah, I understand that, but my other objection to the bill, like I said, I think we're putting people in a very awkward position to ask them to make that triage decision on transport or not transport. And if you go out there with the idea that maybe they don't need to be transported and you're not prepared, and then you find out that they do need to be transported, you've delayed their care and their transport by another extended period of time. But my main objection, like I said, is the cost shifting.
Again,
we're shifting so much of the cost of ambulance services to a very small percentage of the people that use ambulances. So that's my main objection.
But there's a lady who called me just last week who talked about having to raise money for her local ambulance because she, a retired employee of the state of Alabama, okay, have had to use the ambulance 7 times in the last year and a half, all right, because of her medical condition. When she heard that her local ambulance may be closing down, in the streets now trying to raise money just to have the ability to keep an ambulance service in their town. And you're talking about an insurance company, what they raise in rates. When you started looking at PHIP, they haven't had a rate raise in almost 10 years. When you start talking about CHIP, it would only cost them, what, $600,000 to save a life? When we get that money, it's a drop in the bucket around here. We throw that money away all the time. We're talking about saving lives. I should be able to just walk up here with this bill, just like we do all these other bills, and just go and run it on and get on out here because y'all want to save lives. I can't believe I got 2 doctors standing up here. One I've seen in an emergency situation before. One I've seen in an emergency situation before. Right there with him. Okay? You know, because we were a long way across that water. Had to get airlift across it. But they came and they worked in a foreign country. And they did an awesome job. But at the end of the day, we're talking about saving lives, people. I'm not interested in what you're talking about, saving somebody 44 cents. You're talking about 4 million people, 400,000 people in a plan. And it will, if it's 1.6 million, that would probably be 44 cents per person. You got public employees under like the county commission, which would cost them maybe about $9 a year for them to be able to raise theirs, to raise their premiums up, to be able to get the kind of care that they need from the ambulance services. This is all a part of health care, guys.
So understood. How many
we need
in your bill? Who all is exempt from this?
Nobody's exempt in my bill. No one is exempt. So I keep hearing you say certain one of them. I see the House exempts some of them. I put them all back in this bill. Alpha, who don't want to be in here, who have been working, y'all are probably working for Alpha right now. Alpha, PHIP, CHIP, Blue Cross, Humana, they all are in this bill. United Healthcare, who don't want to be in here, they all are in here. In this Senate version. I'm not leaving out anyone. Because guess what? They all have customers that uses ambulance. Everybody is growing older. A lot of these folks are retired and still getting their insurance. All of them are not active and strong and young and don't need ambulance services, but even young folks are falling out. Farmers are getting hurt on farms and accidents that need ambulance to come out to the farms. You got, and you know better than you know, I understand, when you're dealing with tractors and bush hogs and pliers and things like that can fall on your feet. You can cut your hand, you can cut arteries, anything out there on the farm. And you need an ambulance. Not something you can just go in the house and wrap up. When you got retired teachers and you got active teachers who are getting sick at school and have to be hauled off in ambulance service, they need to be in it. You got retired employees for state employees and active state employees. That's why we have a wellness center across the street so that you can at least be able to go and get some checkups. We all need to be in it, you know? And so when you start talking about the Medicare rate and under that, what we deal with these super rural areas, everybody gonna be in it. So I'm not excluding anybody in my bill. The House did, but this bill doesn't exclude any of these people.
Well, you...
I met them in my office. They came to my office last week and agreed to be in the bill. Now, reluctantly, they may have not all agreed to come in with it. But PHIP has never said that they wanted to be out. They only wanted to be out because CHIP got put out in the House. And they said, well, we're like peanut butter and jelly. We're like, if they go, we need to go too. But once I brought them all back in, nobody has complained. Because you're only talking about Less than $2 million.
I know we're holding up a lot on making progress on the calendar. Will you carry it over at the call of the chair and let me and you talk for just a minute and then bring it back up later in the calendar?
I want to move on with this bill and go and get it out of the way.
I'm not going to
Do you
stand in
have
the
an
way of you
amendment
passing
that
it
you want to
today.
put on the
I
bill?
just want to talk to you about a couple of these issues and just at the call of the chair, and we'll bring it back up in a few minutes.
We could just go on and let me go on and get this adopted. All right, get it in position for passage.
Okay.
And then I'll make that determination.
Substitute,
Want to
and
adopt
then-
the substitute.
And then we'll talk before and call the chair.
Well, then we'll talk.
Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. I told you at the beginning, I'm not trying to filibuster your bill. I'm just trying to talk through it. So, yeah, go ahead. Get in position to pass, and then we'll talk while it's on.
I'd like to move
Carried
for the
over to call
adoption
the
of the committee substitute. Use the previous roll without objection.
Any objection? Long roll? All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
Five ayes, 1 nay, 1 abstention. Committee substitutes adopted. All right, Senator Smitherman.
Could I be recognized?
Recognized.
I just kind of sat back and listened at the conversation regarding this issue. And I think that, you know, I talk a lot about the airplane and the wings and incidental situations. I think we're standing here right now because of, number one, our failure to pass Medicaid expansion. Now, that's why we're standing here. Remember I said the wings, everybody looking down the road, not wanting to pass Medicaid expansion and they just say it for what it is, for political reasons. Didn't like the name Obamacare. Didn't like this because he was a Democrat versus Republican, all that kind of stuff. And we eagerly rejected the money that would have been necessary to keep our rural hospitals going. If we had the rural hospitals, we wouldn't need this. It's just that simple. It freaks me out that people want to act like nothing's back here, and all we looking at is ambulance in here. Y'all about that. But the reason is because the failure of this body to pass Medicaid expansion. So as a result, people in rural areas have to get an ambulance to go 30, 40, 50 miles to get any kind of medical treatment. So why are we up here fussing about somebody's got to provide some extra, whatever it is that the concern is? That's the price we got to pay because we wouldn't do Medicaid expansion. We don't want them to have help over there. We don't want them to get to the hospital. You can't have it both ways. You want folk to die. That's what you're saying. You gotta say you want them to die if you don't want them to get ambulance services, and we ain't do nothing to keep the hospitals open. That's a fact, y'all. You know it. So we need to pass this so folk can get to the hospital and not die. So what if it costs them more? We talking about a life. The heck with the money. We talking about the life or death for people. And so that's I'm just saying, as I stand here, we need to get past that, these philosophical things, and go, just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The first thing is life or death. The next thing is health. Next thing is your freedom to move and do what you want to do. But if you don't deal with life or death, then freedom don't matter because you dead. So I would hope that we get past these philosophical things, you know, or whatever it is, and get to the point where we care more about people's lives than we do the philosophical opinions and positions and what inconvenience it's gonna cause people who are doing this. It's a heck of an inconvenience when you die. It's a heck of an inconvenience. So I just hope that we can get past all those kind of little bitty things that we've been hearing talking about up here and put it on the big stage that it's supposed to be put. And that's the stage of life or death. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. The alternative, let's put in whatever number of millions we need to then engage ourselves in Medicaid expansion so these hospitals can reopen again, so those emergency rooms can reopen again, so people can have a chance to go there and get the treatment that they need. So so when they come back up to the mic, I want to hear some conversation about how we're going to get from A to B. Otherwise, then maybe I need to talk about C. It's just simple, you know. I don't have to be here, but all this turning our back like we don't see these rural hospitals back here that's closed. Turning our back that we don't see that these people, only way they're gonna get the help for serious illnesses is through this ambulance right here. You know, I don't know why that we pick to do things. And the folks that need us the most, we ignore them. We talking about putting out $250 million for choice for these rich folks so they can send folks to the private schools. And here it is, we fussing about, not everybody, and I appreciate y'all, but if anybody is doing it, that's what I'm just saying. It shouldn't taint an issue like this. It's just too serious and too important for people being able to survive. So I would hope that we wouldn't have that kind of situation, and I hope that we would go on and pass this bill, and not, to carrying it over for this reason or that reason, but to get these folks some help, get people who need help for transportation to get medical care, and provide it in such a manner that they can do that. Now I think that one of the best chairmen in FNT it is, but he know I want to ask him something. And see, I wasn't going to ask him, but I am now. How can we have an agenda tomorrow in FNT Ed that's got all House bills, and then we can't put the 2 House bills I asked for? HB 4 and HB 190. Now tell me how we, if it's gonna be House Day, and I'm a Senate member asking. These are House members asking Senate chair to put their bills on. They ain't even in the chamber. I'm in the chamber and on the committee, and I can't get a House bill put on. And all I'm gonna say is that the House bill is coming from members of your party that I'm asking. And yet I can't get them put on. Let me tell y'all what HB4 is if you don't know. HB4 will finish the gap, I think, or close to, providing broadband for the rural areas. It's not gonna do anything to help Mobile, Birmingham, Montgomery, or Huntsville. It's not gonna do anything. It's not for us. It's for rural Alabama. So that the people out there can have the connections to be able to do whatever they need to do in these areas. That's what the bill does. That's the bill I asked to be put on there. And you might say, well, you know, I don't think many of y'all will say it, but one or two will say, well, why would he be so interested in making sure that bill get on there? Well, I'm interested because if you all remember, thanks to you all, I helped jumpstart this train for broadband. In fact, Senator Marsh was our pro tem back when I sponsored him. You all passed, because I can't pass nothing by myself. You all helped pass the first broadband bill. And that wasn't for urban, okay? See, my background will tell you, I'm a country boy that came city. So I understand the necessity in those areas because I grew up in rural, where a lot of things we didn't have and you need to have. So yes, that was the bill. The 190 deals with short rail as a means of transportation. Okay, that deals with that. And as I sit down and look at one of my colleagues in Jefferson County, they know that we got an area out there in Birmingham where we can be a part of the that industry that this will help us be able to do the things we need to do, and it'll help in every one of our areas that we have a lack of being able to move commerce. You know, that's what this country run on, the movement of commerce and goods. You know, I remember when I was in a case that we had in law school where I was teaching constitutional law. And it called, you all remember there was a time that trucks, the big trucks, had the flaps on the back behind the wheel. And when you would leave one state, you would get stopped at the line, just like they do weighing of trucks, but you would get stopped at the line. And if you didn't have the flaps that state said that you ought to have on the back of the truck, then that truck couldn't go no further. It couldn't go any further. So you had these truck drivers stopping and having to get out and put on different flaps on the back of the truck. And what you were doing, you were hindering commerce. You were hindering it. And so, thank God the federal government decided that we have to have a uniform standard of the flaps, and that's why you see all of them look the same way now in terms of the length. So I'm making the same reference, and here we've got to have transportation for folks. We got doctors in here, but they can't get to your office if they don't have transportation. Now, back in the old days, do y'all remember? The doctor used to come around. Y'all remember that? Mm-hmm. You come around. You make a call, you come around to your house. They don't do that now. Why? Because they're in a big demand. These doctors are in a high demand, so they can make, we don't have enough doctors for the people, and in part is because we now are living longer. You know, life expectancy has increased. And, because of that, there's more people that have the need for doctors. So now, you get a doctor scheduled out 3 or 4 months? Okay. I'm going to yield to Senator Singleton.
All right, Senator Singleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank you, gentlemen. I think we've gone in the back and got some clarity of where we were. And I know that we might not be 100% right there, but I think you got to be by 99.999.
I think so. I appreciate that. And your substitute's a lot better than the House version.
Yes.
And so I hope when we go to conference, or if we have to, that you'll keep all of those provisions in. Maybe the House will just concur with the Senate version, and we won't even have to do that.
But that's what I'm being told that what's going to happen.
Some of your provisions certainly allay some of my fears about the bill. But I'm not going, I told you at the beginning, I wasn't trying to block your bill. I just think there's some issues to discuss, and we've discussed them. I appreciate your openness about it, and I'm ready for you to have a vote.
All right, Senator Singleton.
Move for third reading be dispensed with. Call a long roll, I guess.
All right, Secretary, call a long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
Twenty-six ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention. Senate Bill 269 passes. Thanks, Senator Singleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
On page 3 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 105 by Senator Kelly and others regarding counties and municipalities. BR pending.
Senator Kelly.
And Mr. President, I'd like to move for adoption of the BIR, the long roll.
Long roll?
What was the last count? Previous roll.
All right, any objection to using previous roll? Hearing none, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to offer an amendment.
Hold on 1 second. We got to let him call it.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
26 ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
Page 3 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 105 by Senator Kelly and others regarding counties and municipalities. Committee amendment pending.
Move adoption of the committee amendment.
Mr. President, could I be recognized?
You're recognized.
What does the amendment do, Senator?
Well, what this bill does, it makes it transparent. The records for county municipal governments, just like what we do at the state. It puts on where they've got to be applicable by the internet, where people can look and see where the taxpayer dollars are going. The committee amendment, what it does is it clarifies in the original bill, there's a date that it says to be implemented, and what this does is it puts it by the end of their fiscal year.
What kind of backup do we have? You know, with all this happening on the internet and computers and being hacked and everything else, is it anywhere in this bill that requires them to have backup system if that takes place and happen?
No, sir, this is actually just printed. It goes on the internet just like their printed version is. It's not changing any of that.
What do we do prior to this bill? What are we doing now? I know we're trying to pass the bill to do that. How does it work now?
Right now, the cities and counties are not required to put their expenditures on the internet at all. So a taxpayer has to go through a Freedom of Information Act to get that information. That's the way it is now. And what this bill does is puts it to where when they have their audit, they put the audit online, and the taxpayers can see where their money's being spent.
Okay, we have a situation in Birmingham where that in order for, and this kind of crazy, hey, sir, this kind of crazy, but I, as a senator, because I'm not in municipal government, I can, as a citizen, okay, because being a senator doesn't apply to municipal government operation. I'm not an officer in that.
Right.
You know, I can request this information that you're talking about now, but our city council cannot request that information directly from that department head.
That's correct.
That was one of the crazy things that we didn't realize was remember I was telling you about the airplane?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's one of them incidental things when we changed that we didn't realize that it was gonna tie their hands. Now, under this situation, are you saying that they can go in on the computer themselves at this website or app or whatever it is that it's going to be on, and then be able to look at that information?
They can go in there and look just like the state can go in and look at the checkbook of the state, the citizens can. This is the same type thing, only for the counties and municipal governments. So in other words, if you as just a citizen want to go in there and see where your taxpayer dollars are going, you can go in and take a look at the last audit, and that audit's printed there online. You can't change anything, it's just a reference online. Should something happen to the internet, that information get wiped out, it's as simple as just reposting the information.
What made you put this bill in? What was your motivation? I mean, who did you have some constituents?
Transparency, and there's I figured if it's good enough for the state, it ought to be good for the local municipalities and the county commissions as well. And people having to go through and games being played with public information when somebody's trying to put in a public information request, games being played with stalling and taking for a long time to get that back. Putting the information online so that you can see it at any point in time. And what it's not doing is it's, taxpayers have a right to see where their taxpayer money is going, and that's what this bill does. Anybody can go in and take a look at and see how much money is being spent on roads, and whether it's on the roads or street repairs, see what's being spent on parks and recreation, and that's what the bill does. It allows the taxpayers to see where their money's going. Now, you brought up the question of whether something was online and the information got hacked and it was gone. Well, that case would be where they just would have to resubmit it. It can be something as simple as just printed documents on a PDF that's put online. So that's the case that it could be. Yeah, we've got a lot of different cities, and one of the concerns that you have a lot of times is like a small town, small government, whether they've got the options to do this. And under the Small Business Commission back in, I think when it was first established, first year I was on that commission during that time, we created a website to where each town and city, whether they had connections to the internet or not, they can be exposed and have access to have that to put it online. And so that's what that part of it does. And so every city's got the option to do it. And the other thing it does is we put the date out far enough so any cities that had any trouble with any kind of internet connection, there's enough time for them to get situated to do it. So it gives them plenty of time to do it. And the Small Business Commission already has the access there for any small town, for example, if they don't have the internet or anything like that. If it's a small town, they simply can make a copy of their audit report and put it on the internet in just a PDF.
Well, let me say this. I personally think that this is a good bill.
Thank you, sir.
You know, for what you're trying to do, I really do. And I must, I thought I was gonna be gone. I hear them say they did too. and I believe that. That's why these last two bills on here, ain't it? At the bottom they started gone. The last two, yeah. Star Spangled Banner and taking candy from folks who we give help to.
Yes, sir.
That's what these two bills do, okay? But see, I have a bigger concern. Because, the normal way to deal with it is to deal with it in its arena. In its arena, okay? But I chose not to, and before I tell you what it is, I chose not to because for many of you all, and you all be my colleagues, it's important that you take care of your local people. I mean, after all, this is an election year.
That's right.
You call it for what it is. But it's been a little struggle on my side of the coin because of some issues that we have addressed locally. It really doesn't have a lot, those issues don't have a lot to do with you all in here. But all I'm saying is, this going on year 2, that I got to struggle getting stuff out my own local delegation committee. Okay, this year 2. And, last year, we addressed the issue from a standpoint of local bills to local bills. You remember that? We had a problem. Okay.
Right.
Well, we're not going to do that this year. Okay? That's why you see them flowing out of here, them local bills flowing. But no, we're not going to do that. So we got to shift that now to these bills. Okay?
Okay.
So that's a problem. That's a problem. It's not your problem directly. It's my problem. And since it's my problem, I got to do something about the problem.
I understand.
Okay? So that's one of the reasons why I'm standing up here.
Yes, sir.
Because I got a problem. It ain't your problem. You didn't create the problem. But
What we got?
yeah, that's where we are right there. And, as I said about those other 2 bills at the end, one, the people who don't have nothing, zero, nothing, they depend on the government to help them get some food. Okay. Those little children, they want sweets just like ours do at home. When you roll through the grocery store with your kids, they go over there to the candy thing, they go to the cookies, they go to the potato chips, they go to all those places and say, I want some Doritos. Mine said they want the purple Doritos. Y'all seen the purple ones? They don't have them everywhere. Yeah, they want the purple Doritos. They said bring back the blue, that's the Cool, or the Cool Ranch, whatever it is. They said bring that back. Okay? All right? I got one who said all they want is just plain potato chips. They don't want nothing else but plain potato chips. Okay? Got some who want Kit Kat bars. No, I like Milky Way. They know that. Everybody here know that. I like them. And see, now we trying to tell these kids they can't have no candy. Why? Why we want to beat down on the poor? Why we want to find another way to pound on them again? That's a pound, because we can do it to them, let's do it to them. No, that's nothing right about that. That's not right. That's not right. All this philosophical, well, it shouldn't because of this. Yeah, let them have a little fun. Let them have some fun. We take our kids and let them have fun. So why we don't want them to have fun? You know, why we want to beat down on them? And that's what it is. They're the whooping people. Okay? Because they don't have people in the hall. They ain't got nobody out there in that hall. These folks who I'm talking about, they don't have a soul out there in the hall. Okay? The people in the candy industry and the beverage industry, they got people out there. But the people who it's going to affect, they don't have anybody out there. All the people they got to speak what their situation is and they feel is the people in this room right here. That's it. We the only ones that's going to speak for these people. And that's why I'm standing up here. That's why you see me standing here.
Got to speak for the people.
Same thing with the Star-Spangled Banner. We talked about that. We talked about the third stanza that glorifies slavery in the Star-Spangled Banner. If folks think that doesn't do that, I'm asking reference or somebody sitting over there, get me a copy of the Star-Spangled Banner. I'll read it to you. See, I ain't making this up. I'll read it. See? And some of the people who it offends, some of the people who it offend, they've asked me to bring an amendment. And they said that in that case, because it ain't the first verse that offend them, it's this fact of the totality of the song itself, which is the third stanza. Okay? So they've asked me to bring an amendment. As late as today, this morning. Okay? And they asked me to bring an amendment so they can have an option. Okay? And their option is similar to this, is that they want the option that either you have the choice of the Star-Spangled Banner first verse, or you have the choice of lift every voice and sing first verse. Okay? Do you know what that is? You lift every voice. Do you know what?
I do. I've heard that song before.
Do you know the reason?
I do. You talked about it in committee, or actually, Senator from down in Mobile talked about that in committee.
And see, some people up there may not know what the real reason is. But that's because, well, I'm going to say it the way that it was back in the day. Okay? That was the Negro national anthem. Okay? That was the national anthem. Okay? All right? So people who getting offended, who gets offended by the third verse that tries to condone slavery, condone the kind of treatment that black people got, okay? And that's what it says in there. Ratchet, all kind of old stuff. The glorious Star-Spangled Banner. That's what it says in the third stanza, okay? So if we're gonna have it, that's fine. But let it be either or. Don't ram it down the people's throat who is talking negative about. You gonna make them glorify and love it? You know, that's not right either. See, that's not right. But it go back to what we were saying. I said earlier about Medicaid expansion. See, we're going to turn our back to that and act like it doesn't happen. Now, I'm going to take you down a little deeper. I'm going to take you a little deeper. I was shocked when I found this out. I was shocked. And you know what the shock, thank you, Sam. And I'm going to tell you what shocked me. And I found this out. I just got to say it, you know, I did not know. Because I thought folks going to do what they supposed to do, the right thing, you know. You remember me, I be talking up here about I want to have accurate history. of our state and people in this state. Okay? I didn't know that we taught history here in this state, and they excluded the president of Barack Obama out of the book. Yeah, out the book. The president of the United States served 2 terms, and they just break it down because he's black. They don't want nobody talking about him. He wasn't even in the book. See where I'm coming from now? Yeah. And that's why I'm saying about the third verse of Star Spangled Banner. No, people shouldn't have to be treated that way. Like they don't even exist. 30% of this state's population, people act like they don't exist. They're not even here. I mean, well, I won't say you, but everybody heard me when we had moments of Black history. All those accomplishments, they're not in one book. And I found out another accomplishment this morning, that it was a black man who created the change in the computer for HP. The first HP computer, he made it. And there's a series of things that he's the first at doing. I didn't know. I found that out this morning myself. My middle daughter told me, she said, Dad, do you know that so-and-so, because she reads a lot. I said, no, I did not know that. Okay. So that's what I'm saying here. I mean, just as much respect and consideration should be given to that 30% like we give the 70%. So if we're going to do Star Spangled Banner, let it be either or, lift every voice and sing. We got just as much right. Act like we don't have no right to want to hear that neither. Yes, we do. That's all that I'm saying. Yes, we have that right. And that's only equitable. That give the option. Give the option. I don't have any problem with the Star Spangled Banner at all, that first verse. But give the option to those people who do. Give the option. That's all that I'm saying. So, I see, so you can understand there's some reasons why I'm up here. It just happened to be your bill is not one of them. But we own it right now. That's the only thing about it. We own it. When does this bill take effect?
The effect of the bill takes effect on the October 1st of 2028. We extended it out to 2028 to give all small towns plenty of time to adjust.
Good. It's what involvement that the League of Municipalities is going to have in this?
They've been involved and dealt with me when I was creating this bill and talking, and I did discuss the League of Municipalities with the bill as well.
Did they take a survey of their cities?
But not that I know of. They had concerns about it and came to me and concerned about small towns of being able to comply. When I explained to them what it actually was, you could basically just make a copy and print it, that PDF. And then that's one of the reasons we moved the date out to 2028. The other reason was that when the Small Business Commission was first introduced, I was on that, and we put in a place for all small towns and municipalities as well as counties to have a website that they could do this on that was provided for in that. So that was what their concerns were. So we addressed those.
Okay. Now, I know everybody probably didn't want it. So who are some of the entities that didn't really want this?
Other than the questions by the League of Municipalities, I didn't have anyone else object to it.
Okay. And did they say what cities had questions or concerns about it? Did they call out some names?
No, they didn't call out any names. They didn't indicate that there had actually been a city that had a complaint about it. It was just a concern or a thought that they had. So we addressed that, and that's you know, I've got the committee amendment, and then I've got a floor amendment that also deals with the terminology as far as when the year ends. But I didn't have any objections from any, the league or the county association of commissioners or any of them.
Now, what is the difference in the procedures they're gonna have to follow to do what you want done here? By being a new requirement, naturally, it's some things that they have to do different, or in addition to. So what are those things?
The only thing they have to do in addition to, they're already audited. So they just take that audit and put it online. That's it.
Okay, okay. Now, what is there a program that's set up and designed to help them be trained and to and implement what you're saying? Is there a program that's set up to do that? I see the gap in the time. This is 2026. We're saying it's going to be 2028. Okay.
Yeah, that date change was just an overabundance of trying to make sure that everyone had plenty of opportunity. That was what that was designed to do. They already have the information in their computer system. It's just as simply putting that file on public where the taxpayer can see where their money's going.
Okay, what is there a penalty if they don't do it
No,
in that bill?
There's not a penalty in the bill.
What happens if they don't do it?
I guess the auditor, when they do their next audit, would write them up for non-compliance. And I don't know what the repercussions of that would be, but that would be what it would be.
Are those entities examined by our Department of Public Accounts? Is that the entity that's going to do that, or is it done by private?
I don't know the complete answer to that. I know our state examiners do audit many of these cities and counties, the different departments and all. So if they've got an audit, an individual audit, for example, if they've got an outside audit, whoever's doing that audit, that information would be what would be published.
Okay. So you're moving it from the having to go through the, what you said, the Freedom of Information
Freedom of Information Act.
To they're required to put online. What's the parameter that they have to put it on by? You know what? You understand what's the time frame in that year? You know, a year goes. I guess they do it after the year, right?
Yeah,
or
after
do
they've
they
got their year-end audit, then when they go through that, they've got the results of that audit. And when they get that audit, they just put it online.
Okay, what's that period that they have to do?
I think it's 90 days.
It's 90 days.
I think that's right. I'd have to look at the bill again to make sure, but I believe it's 90 days.
Okay, and who is there any entity, public entity that they can use for resources to make sure that they get it accurate?
Well, I mean, an audit's an audit. I don't know. I guess if they feel like they're not using a good auditor, then I guess they could use a different auditor.
Okay.
But it's whatever their audit says is what's being published. Whatever their financial records say, that they are whatever they are.
Okay. So what did they say? Okay. I don't know. That's all right. I was getting ready to ask you something, and the reason I stopped because something just took my attention for a minute, and I hold up here in my hand the Star Spangled Banner. And I looked at that third stanza, and it just took my attention for a minute. So I'm back focusing on what we just for a minute.
What you're really here for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for a minute it took it. Okay. All right. I'll get ready to ask you, what was the purpose for the amendment?
Well, there's a committee amendment that put some parameters on terminology, changed some of the terminology that we had in the original bill to where it was a little bit more plain because of different cities using different accounting methods so that it was clear to clear up some confusion. That's the committee amendment. Then I have a floor amendment that I haven't presented yet that basically instead of giving the year-end, whatever the year-end date is, it tells them after their year-end. So in other words, it doesn't give the date. It says whenever. We found out that some municipalities have a different year-end date than the regular calendar, so it changes that. I haven't got that submitted yet, though, because we're still on the committee amendment.
You know, you heard Senator Singleton said he was took to the classroom by the teacher. Principal. look like I got two teachers trying to take me to the closet. So I'll be back.
All right, we're on the amendment.
Senator. Mr. President, you mind if I dialogue?
Sure, you're
For a
recognized.
moment. Senator, can you explain your amendment again?
Okay, well, after talking with Senator Smitherman, I'd like to move for adoption of the committee amendment by the previous roll without objection.
Objection.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
And so, as
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
Thirty ayes, 0 nays. Committee amendment's adopted. All right, Senator Kelly.
Mr. President, I'd like to offer a floor amendment.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill 105 by Senator Kelly. Replace lines 22 through 23 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 31 on page 2 with the following.
All right.
Mr. President, I'd like to speak to the amendment. So could you explain to us what you're doing here, Senator?
Yeah, this second amendment, the floor amendment here, what it does is we had a date for the year end inside the bill that specified that. And as I said a few minutes ago, we found that some cities operate under a different calendar. So we changed that verbiage to read for the 12-month period preceding the last day of the fiscal year as established by the county or municipality. So it takes care of that issue with a different year-end closing date. And then there's certain safety information that are in some of those audits or some things that could be used for safety information. So the amendment also takes care of those concerns and allows leeway to take care of those. So that's what the floor amendment does.
So you're able to take the auditor's audit that's done independently and post it online?
Post it online so taxpayers can see where their money's going.
That's on the Secretary of State's website, is that correct?
No, it would be on the municipality or the county's website.
Is there not a website that's available to our municipalities for them to post things like that on so they don't have to bear that on their own expense?
You're absolutely correct. The Small Business Commission in Atlas, Alabama provides websites for any municipality and any county that doesn't already have one that you can post this information on. And this is simply posting the audit that's on there online, much like you would a policy manual or anything like that, so that the cities and the counties have their information on their taxpayer funds if somebody's concerned about how much money's being spent on the road department, whatever the case may be. So they can go on there and see where the taxpayer money's going. And it's very much like the checkbook Alabama has got. The state put in a number of years ago to where the citizens of Alabama can go online and go in and see where their taxpayer money's going. It's a much simpler version, smaller version of that.
I haven't used the one available to the cities and counties, but I have used the state one, and it has quite a bit of detail. Is it not as detailed as that is?
No, it's not as detailed as that. This is taking what their annual audits are. They can take, just like you're doing the balance in the checkbook, you can see those. There's some things, of course, that are security issues. It eliminates those where those don't have to be projected. One of the things that kept coming up that we ran into quite a bit was Freedom of Information Acts and being able to get that in a timely manner. And then a lot of people have gotten used to using the state program. And that was a concern that they can't look and see what their own city and counties are doing. And so we feel like it'd make the citizens deserve to, first of all, they deserve to know where their money's going. And that gives them an idea on that. Also cuts down a lot of false accusations and things like that where people misunderstand where taxpayer money may be being spent. So this allows them to see a true and accurate picture of where that money's going and the decision and the consequences that are made in city council decisions and county commission decisions so that they can see what's really going on.
True government at its finest and be able to see totally through it and without any issues.
Yeah, yeah, that's what this does. And so we're still on the floor amendment, I believe. So that's pretty much what it does.
What we found back during when the COVID and the ARPA monies, we found many of our municipal boards and things had not been audited in a timely manner, and they had to get caught up on those audits, and that would seems like this process would allow our citizens to keep a better eye on that. Those audits we published in a place that's accessible.
It would be, and it also avoids false accusations against elected officials in city and county government from saying that their money's being hid or slid under the table, whatever the case may be, when in fact it's not. And they can go online, and the elected official can actually say, our checkbook's online, basically. You can go and you can take a look and see where it's going. So it should help with a lot of misconceptions that are out there, a lot of false newspaper headlines and things like that whenever a major expenditure comes up or something of that nature.
Seems like a great tool for the cities and counties.
Yeah, I feel like it will be. I think it'll help, ultimately help with a lot of the audits that we have a little harder time with some municipalities and some counties getting those in. So I think it would help them a lot, and I think it also helped the reputation of each county and city when the public knows that their information is online. There's nothing trying to be hid. Everything's there for them to see.
You've got commissioners and council members that would like that, and board members of those commissions that would like that.
Yeah, actually, some of this came after discussions with council members of my district and some county commissioners as well, and they all thought it was a good idea. They also thought that it would help them as well to be more accountable as well.
If you're like me, I've got a mixed bag of the city of Huntsville all the way down to a population of 100 or 200, 300. So,
yeah, my district's made up very similar. I've got a town as small as 300 residents up to a major city. So, what this does, it doesn't create a burden on anybody, not even the one that has 300 people in their population. And I think the other thing does, it allows the taxpayers to have more confidence in their elected officials and their local government. And I think that helps in a lot of different ways.
They're required to have the audit anyway. Why not do it and get it published where people can look at it and take a gander and see what's there, and as you say, get a good look at it and know that things are not being misspent.
That's correct. I mean, it's information they already have. They're not having to do anything more than what they're already doing. The only difference now is that they're putting the results online. And so I think also it would help probably in planning purposes as well. When you have council member and commissioners that are searching and trying to plan for the next year or for their particular district. If they don't have to, if they're not in the office, they can work and go and take a look, see maybe what's been done in the past there, and see if they want to make changes in that. The other thing I think it does is just like investments, when you go and you can take a look and see what's being spent where, sometimes it shows you a problem you didn't know you had. And so I think that's another plus that will probably be noticed once this gets up and going.
Would it be a problem or an opportunity for the community? Which one?
Yeah, I think it'd be an opportunity.
I think so.
I think it's an opportunity, and I think it's one thing that really speaks well about when you've got transparency in government. People have a right to know, and I think this is one of the avenues that you can take restore and give people confidence in their elected officials and their city governments and their county governments. And just like what we have to do here at the state. You know, the things we have to do here, people can go online and take a look and see what's being spent where, see if they agree or disagree. And then they can contact their elected official and let them know whether they appreciate what they're doing or whether they've got an issue with it.
Not much different than our campaign finance reports, is it?
No, actually very, very similar, very similar. You know, that's just good government in my mind whenever we have transparency like this. You've got the audits being done. It also helps I think the different ones affected in county and municipal government. It helps them to make sure that they get their audits done and done in a timely manner. And then it also could help you find where you've got a problem with an audit. You know, someone may spot it online that maybe you didn't see. And so then they can bring it to your attention and make whatever is needed to correct the issue.
The utility boards and all the other boards are required to have that same thing, and it would give them a same place to post theirs and make it available for everyone.
Yeah, I think that one of the great avenues that was done with the Small Business Commission was making those websites, the online thing available. And it's been there for years, but very few people know about it. So when I was working on this bill and that concern was posed to me, and I remember working on that when I served on the Small Business Commission, which is an outstanding organization or outstanding commission that really looks to try to make government better and business better in Alabama. A lot of information's on that site that you can go and look if you want to start a business. A lot of things like that, what you have to do and things of that nature. The other aspect, I think it's just a bonus on there where it helps the cities, especially small towns. There's the avenue there that helps them, you know, do what they need to do and have an online presence. With the advent of expanding internet throughout our state and all that, if a small town or city has an issue that they need, they don't have that and they need some help with that, well, that avenue is there through that website. But that's also one of the reasons why we pushed the date out like we did, and to give plenty of time for everybody to comply. I also looked at how long it was going to take some of the areas that to receive internet service that didn't have it. And so that should work out just right for all those to be able to fulfill this.
You know, the senator from Jefferson was talking about his work on broadband in Alabama and the amazing work that this legislative body in the House and Senate has done over the last several years through the ARPA money and whatnot. It's not an issue to do that anymore, where at one time, not too long ago, it was an issue to do that. And I think we made great strides in putting that together and making sure that most of our citizens have great access to high-speed internet. We've still got some gaps, and we're still working our way down that highway, but we're getting there slowly but surely. And
I think that's something that's really moved our state forward too. A lot of people don't realize on a lot of farms, a lot of that is done through the internet, a lot of the irrigation and things like that. And I think having that and somewhat perceived would be some areas that are extremely rural that really doesn't need it. I think a lot of people don't realize how much it is needed. And that's one thing that I applaud the efforts that here in Alabama that the different ones involved in spreading the internet and getting it where it needs to be done. I feel like we're ahead of the game as compared to a lot of states because we did have that in our minds and we did see the use for that and what it could mean to us potentially for economic development, expanding the values that we have to companies that are wanting to come to Alabama, whether they're small or large.
Even our farm industry today is affected by they're doing service calls on equipment online and can diagnose problems online from off parts, and oftentimes they have to bring a mechanic out to fix them, but the equipment actually itself can be diagnosed in the field where they have a good signal.
It's pretty amazing what the internet has brought forward, not just with AI, but the different capacities that it's been brought into our culture and in the business world as well, everything from medicine to, as you said, diagnosing problems with tractors, with equipment. And I think that's one of the things that's really important is we have to have those things in place to get jobs recruited to our state. And I think that makes a big difference when we're doing that. The advantage I think that we've got is we've not left any small area unturned that we've got in our drive to make sure every corner of Alabama and every small part in between has access to internet.
The artificial intelligence is really just beginning. We don't know how big it's going to be ultimately, but it's just beginning now.
Yeah, I think AI scares a lot of us a lot, but it excites us as well. I think be a lot of learning curves with that, and I think that has a lot to do with how people perceive the state. But when you are progressively moving forward like we are, I think that's looked at as an innovation. That's looked at as a forward-thinking state, as opposed to a lot of states that are looking and just not taking action on it. I'm real proud of Alabama and the action that we've taken on it so far.
You know, not oftentimes we lead in things, and that's one item that we have led in is our broadband expansion, and we've been able to introduce some things that made us the model of what other folks are doing and trying to follow the way we've done our broadband program across, and other states are following that today, and it's been very successful.
Well, and I think that's one thing that's pretty exciting to me, being in the real estate and development business and what makes my living. It's really exciting when we've got other states that are copying what Alabama does. But it also puts a lot of pressure on us to stay on that cutting edge and keep moving forward, where we can have others chasing us because we've got the open mind, we've got the innovation of working forward to give them something to try to catch up to and staying ahead of that curve. And really proud of our state in that regard as well.
Senator Chastain, I think, leads the IDEA board, and I think they meet tomorrow morning. Is that correct? Next week. Sorry, I'm a week early. So they'll be here in the State House next week learning or talking about the last of the ARPA money and trying to make sure the expenditures are done on time with there.
Yeah, there's a lot of avenues, I think, where it can play into our advantage, and we're seeing more and more of that. In all different facets of where we're at, where money can be used to make our state better. And I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of businesses are choosing Alabama. And that makes us envious of other states envious of Alabama. And that's a pretty good position to be in.
It absolutely does. And this gives our communities, our counties, our cities the opportunity to post this property, this information online and make it accessible to everybody and comply with the law and comply with potentially what you're trying to pass here. It's
I think
all tied together.
I think what it does too is allows any businesses looking at going to a community, it allows them to see how stable that community is as well, seeing their finances and looking to see if that would support the type of business they're looking at. One of the things that I do in the site selection, when I have industries that come in, they'll contract with us and what makes my living in the real estate world. And they're looking for a specific thing, a certain per capita income, certain, if it's manufacturing, maybe looking for certain size gas lines, whatever the case may be. And so it allows you to go in and see too how pro-forward thinking that the municipalities and the counties are going. And I think it will be a big plus on economic development, all the way down on the small scale up to large factories as well.
Looking for reasons to check you off the box rather than putting you in the keep you in, right? They
That's right.
They want to knock you out so they can move on to the top 5 or the next 7 or whatever the case may be.
That's usually how it works. They usually come in and they'll contract with you to go in, and they'll have their criteria there, whether it's per capita income or whatever their business requirements are. And then you go and try to find locations that will fit that. And part of that, a lot of times, is the economic viability of wherever they're going. Is the local government supporting? Are they engaged with business? Are they business friendly? You know, do they support business? And I think that's one of the things that this really helps with. But
So they're actually looking to see if my community can support their investment. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. They can take and go look at that, and they can see, is that a community we want to be a part of? you know, a lot of communities, when they get going, I mean, they get on a roll there, and they keep attracting more and more. We had something like that in my area. We had one industry there that employed about 600 people, and they kept working, and they actually become one of our biggest recruiters. Part of that was some of the economic incentives that were offered. And part of the other aspect of it was some of the things that the stability of the local municipality was in that. And so you actually had somebody that was there doing recruitment for you that wasn't even, that wasn't their job. They just believed in what the local municipality was doing. They believed in what the county government were doing. And so they were actually the biggest cheerleader. And ideally, that's what you want in the economic development side where I live.
And truthfully is it could be anybody that's from that community that's traveling, that's just proud of their community. I know of an instance in
Absolutely.
North Alabama where a gentleman was seated next to a site developer and a site searcher, and you know, he knew his community probably didn't meet the criteria. He said, but if you would, just come take a look at us before you make your final selection. And he did, and they've been there for, I think, 30 years now. So,
Yeah, that's a big seller too. I think when you're looking at recruiting industry, you come in and you see a proactive local government. They're in there and they're looking ahead and they're planning for the future. It makes a big difference. And they can tell the personality of the community. Every community's got their own personality.
yeah.
And the people of that community usually reinforce that stronger. And you develop, it's a cultural thing. It goes from one generation to another usually. So it provides an avenue, I think, for a good, robust conversation whenever those conversations start happening about trying to entice different ones coming in. One of the other things it does is give you an idea of the tax base of about what a company may be looking at as far as workers when they move into the area that they're trying to hire, and you know what kind of living they could expect to have. I think that's one thing that a lot of people are looking for. They're looking for stability whenever they're coming to an area, whether it be a chain of auto parts stores or whether it's a cabinet making shop that's going to employ manufacturing that will employ several hundred people. And that provides some stability for them and also some reassurances that the local governments are strong enough to support their needs.
This was a Joe citizen that just loved his little community and asked him to come take a look at the story of the auto parts stores. You know, so why do I won't spend the money when he already spent the money to put one here? I'm gonna sit down beside him. So
yeah, we see that quite a bit. You'll have
seem to come in groups of threes.
Yeah, a lot of times the birds of a feather will flock together, and they feed off each other a lot of times. And competition's good and healthy. We all need it because that's what pushes each individual to be better. That's what pushes each business to be better, and each community competing with each other, but not losing track of the bigger picture.
So back to your amendment here, so we don't get too far off, and the governor doesn't gavel us down on staying germane.
Yep. The floor amendment here, basically what it does is, it takes back where a lot of people, their year is October 1st, but we've got some that are different than that. And so this floor amendment, what it does is it makes a change to that and doesn't give a particular date. It gives whenever that entity's year end is. And so it makes a wordsmithing change there to help with that. And so that's one of the big important things. We wanted to make sure that nobody had any problems implementing this and make sure that we made it as easy as possible. And that's one of the things I think that's important is whenever you have new legislation, you want to make it as easy to apply as possible. And that's what we're striving to do with this amendment.
Best to get it fixed before you get it out on the floor, right?
That's right. That's right. Trying to anticipate any issues that may come up and find answers for those where we can get those in place so that everything goes smoothly. I think with this floor amendment, we might could go ahead and pass it and then hold off on the vote as
I think we
amended.
probably need to hold off a little bit. till
Okay.
We get a signal here.
All right. So what do you think about the bill?
I think it's a great idea. I like the idea. I like the idea of all our municipalities, cities, and counties being able to post this on the site so it doesn't cost them any money. It's free. It's, my local community did not know about that until last week, when there was another bill that was floating that had required posting, and that was a complaint that one of my mayors had, and he was unaware that he could post it online at no cost and get out of the newspaper business, to some degree, so he didn't have to pay that expensive in advertising that he's had to do, legal ads. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's something that we need to look at further, maybe doing. But let's get this one done. We'll work on the next one.
Yeah, one of the things I think that I was pleasantly surprised at is that there's quite a number that already have something similar to this in place. And so that speaks well for those communities as well, that they were already doing something similar to this. And it makes a difference, I think.
This is done in other states, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your
no.
knowledge?
No. Some of this was coming about too. When we had some bills come through Sunset, we saw different things that were not reflected in some of the audits that needed to be. And then so we took a look at some of the municipalities and things that were going on there with them, the counties. And thought that it would be a good idea as well. And I think it will help with their audits. We all want a good audit. We want a good picture of what we're doing. And
you may have a model piece of legislation that other folks pick up and take with it and run with it at other states. And
yeah, I think it's something that that others will see and want to follow. And I think it's just good government. Especially in a time whenever you see polls, and one of the number one things that taxpayers are concerned about is where their money is going. The other thing is about tax credits and paying fewer taxes. This allows them to see where that money is going, and allows them to, I think, ask better questions of their local officials.
where you spending your money?
Where you're spending the money?
How you spending your money?
How you're spending it. It also helps, I think, where you've got, a local elected official. He can justify and tell exactly where a need is, that this is only so much money that we have. What someone may be wanting them to do, they have to generate more income to do, and this allows them to show someone that, there's going to have to be more revenue, or they're going to have to cut something somewhere else to make that work. So many times I think people they don't realize that whenever you put something new in, you've got to either increase your income or take it from somewhere else. We're not like the federal government that can print some money. And so I think that will allow for some, I think, more accurate conversations, maybe some more accurate negotiations at times whenever people get crossed up, and create, I think, more accurate records as well. I think people will pay a little more attention to what they're spending their money on when they know that someone can take a look and see where it's going.
We do have to balance our budget, do we not?
We do.
It's a requirement.
We do, and I'm very thankful that we do. It's one of the things I'm really proud about our state, and one of the reasons I really want this is I think that we are setting a good example to other states about good government. We've got our faults just like everyone else, but whenever you work and you try to have accountability in place, wherever you've got a place that you can insert and take away any concerns and misunderstandings, I think that's a good place to do it. And that's one of the avenues I think that this will really help as well. The other thing that we've touched on a little bit, but I think it helps a lot with budgeting. It will help, councils and commissions, I think, with their budgeting. You can see at a snapshot kind of where they're at, and allows them to work, and not just when they're at the office. It allows them to work at home and make future plans, I think, and maybe develop some long-range plans of where they want their local area to grow, I think, and what may be needed for funding to do that.
So the opportunity to follow the money
Follow the
and
money.
look where it was going and looking where it's last couple of years. You can track it and make changes to it if you were a councilman or a
Yeah, I think
commission member.
it gives you an opportunity to correct. When you see a problem, it gives you a chance to correct it before it gets too far out of hand. Good accounting is hard to beat. A lot of people are interested in numbers as well. And what do those numbers mean? And I think this is one of those things that can help in the planning, and they'll be easier to understand what the numbers mean, the consequences of certain actions, certain votes. That I believe that this will help along that way. All right. With that, Mr. President, I move adoption of the floor amendment. with
Using previous roll. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
Thirty-one ayes, 0 nays. Senator Kelly, amendment's adopted. Senator Kelly.
Mr. President, I move adoption as amended by previous roll without objection.
All right. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
Thirty-three ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 105 passes. Thanks, Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right,
Thank you.
Secretary, call the next bill.
Page 2 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 32 by Senator Kitchens regarding solid waste collection fees. VR pending.
Senator Kitchens.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill deals with solid waste, garbage service to exempt veterans if that is their only source of income. With that, I move for the BIR using previous roll without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
33 ayes, 0 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 2 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 32 by Senator Kitchens regarding solid waste collection fees.
Mr. President, like I said, this bill, currently, if you receive Social Security, you can have your garbage fees exempt. What this bill does, it adds veterans benefits to that. So there's a loophole right now where people that only have veterans benefits don't qualify. So this would add that. With that, I'd move for adoption, third reading to be dispensed with, use a previous roll without objection.
All right, Senator Smithman.
That'll be recognized.
You recognized.
So are you saying that people who get Social Security, they do not pay garbage fees?
They can have an exemption if they only receive, that's current state law right now, if they only receive Social Security benefits, they can get an exemption where they don't have to pay for your garbage at your house.
Oh, I in the city, it's a little different. I mean, they just all rolled up into the taxes you pay. But in rural areas where you pay just a fee to like waste management or somebody like that who come by, you're saying that those people have to exempt, if all they got to do is show proof, and then they have to, then when they come by and pick up their stuff, it's exempt?
Yes, sir. And we actually put some stuff in there in this bill because we found that there were some areas that you just wanted to go file for an exemption. It didn't matter who it was. You just say you're exempt, they would grant that exemption, but this does show that you have to verify that that is your only source of income.
Now, did you do this, did you bring the bill because of the veterans itself?
I did, yes, sir, and actually because of a veteran in our community that brought it to my attention, receives around $1,000 a month just from veterans benefits, didn't have another job, that's all that they receive, and they went to file for the exemption, they were told that they don't qualify for it. So since they didn't qualify, they asked me, why is that the case? And when we started looking at it, this is the second year I brought this bill. We had it last year and got tied up right at the end of session. We were moving the House version. It got tied up right at the end of session, so brought it again this year.
What if that veteran has a spouse that live with them that may, that's able to generate income on a
Then it
continuous
wouldn't,
basis.
it wouldn't qualify for that household. So it's household income. So if there's only one member in the household, in this case, it's a spouse that gets the benefits. She is a surviving spouse of a veteran. That's all that they receive. And so they would not, she would qualify in this case, but if the spouse had another career, another job, other income, they would not qualify.
Okay. I yield back to him.
All right.
I renew my motion for third reading be dispensed, using previous rule without objection.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
Thirty-two ayes, 0 nays. Senate Bill 32 passes. Thanks, Senator Kitchens.
Thank you, Mr.
Secretary,
President.
call next bill.
On page 42 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 5 by Senator Allen regarding public schools. PR pending.
Senator Allen.
Mr. President, good afternoon to you, sir. This piece of legislation is one that I think will help us to celebrate the 250th anniversary of this great country, and making sure that the public schools in Alabama will have the opportunity to sing the first stanza of the national anthem once a week for the K through 12 schools in this state. So, Mr. President, I move passing the BIR using long roll.
All right. Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen.
Aye.
Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shelnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
Three ayes, 5 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
Page 42 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 5 by Senator Allen, a proposed constitutional amendment regarding public schools.
Mr. President.
Senator Allen.
Give you a little, just brief background. Of course, the War of 1812 took place, and they burnt Washington. The British burnt Washington, and they marched on to Baltimore, and that's where the Battle of Baltimore took place. And that's, in essence, it lasted for a number of days, absolutely 25 hours long. And at this time, I'll take some questions from across the way.
May I be recognized? Well, Senator, you Let me stop and say this first. You and I have worked on several pieces of legislation together. I'm gonna just run out the little laundry list of things that you and I together got a boxing commission. Worked hand in hand establishing boxing commission in the state. The protection for coaches and referees. You and I orchestrated that so that they wouldn't be in danger. And we enhanced penalties for that, if you remember that. Several other things like that, we have done that. So I wanted to set the protocol, I guess. That might not be the word, but I want to establish the protocol that you and I have worked numerous times on stuff. And I want to even say this, and hopefully I don't get you in no problems when I say this, but there have been some things that have been dear to me in history, up in my district. You know what I'm talking about. That you came to the plate and said that we need to get some revenue. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Okay. I ain't gonna say nothing else, but they don't need to know all that, but that's why I said that. So it's I think a lot of you, okay? So that I had to get that. See, I have to get a division between this and you, okay? I don't want people to think, no, I think a lot of you, Now, this is the question I'm gonna ask, and then I got something I want to present, and then I'm gonna turn it back over to you, okay? We're gonna celebrate 250 years of this state, right? Am I right? Okay. I'm not putting you on the spot right now because you may not know that. But my question to the people who are gonna orchestrate that is that what role in this history of our state and this chronological history from the day of over here to 250 years, that they are going to make sure that Black people are a part of that history, the story. I don't know what's going to play, they're going to have performances at Shakespearean place or whatever. What is to assure that African Americans are going to have an opportunity to present what they did in this state? Can you share that with me?
Well, Senator, you and I came in together, and I
in '94, wasn't it?
In '94,
you and I walked in these doors together, and we did some big things together.
Yes, sir.
One last one.
We worked well together, no question about that. And so it's one of the things that is important is that this piece of legislation and the national anthem is one that represents all of us, and it should be one that we should cherish and to understand, to know that men and women have given their lives to protect this country and give us freedom, and it's just a good way to teach our young people, our children, to love America and understand that freedom is so precious, and we're all together.
Now,
national anthem.
Now, let me tell you, if you notice the way I said that, I said the history of Black people. You heard me say that, didn't you? And I'm saying it again. You know why I said it just like that? Because I don't want folks trying to hide behind DEI and say, we can't tell the history of the people who helped build this state because that's DEI. No, I'm talking about Black folks, not DEI, Black people, okay, who contributed to the making of this state, okay? And so that's my concern over in that area. Now, you got some folks who hear me talking and say, "Oh, he is not. That doesn't sound very patriotic." Okay. Well, for their purpose, I'm gonna read the third stanza to let them know why I have that concern. Okay. The third stanza reads just like this. And where is that band who vanningly swore that the havoc of war and the battles confused, a home and a country shall leave us no more. Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps, pollution. No refuge could save the hurling enslaved from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doeth wave over the land of the free and home of the brave. You see this glorifying slavery? Right here in this on the third stanza. I had to read that because, you and I have had conversations about that. I had to read that because I want folks to understand it's a legitimate concern that we would put little black students in a position that the same thing that provided slavery for their ancestors, and in some part, enslaving them now, that should be glorified. Nothing should be glorified about that. And I wish folk quit putting their head in a hole in the ground like what they call them, the animals, the ostrich does, acting like nothing never happened, acting like it's not a story, a true story that needs to be told. We just gonna act like that didn't happen. Yes, it happened. It happened. You hear folks talking about pull up your bootstraps and why they can't do A, B, C, or D. Well, let's start out with a race. And then I'm gonna yield back to you. Let's start out with a race. Here's a race. I'm supposed to stand still and let someone stand over here and take off. And they take off and get 400 years ahead of me. 400. And then when I'm trying to figure out how to read because it was against the law to teach me how to read, or people would go to jail if they tried to help me read, then all of a sudden, well, you got the same opportunity, so you ought to be. No, I didn't. And I'm still 400 years behind in the game because the person that took off didn't stand still after they got 400 years, and so I could catch up. They kept going. But yet, that's what bothers me about this other bill. We got folks who's struggling, and yet we talking about, why are they complaining? Why are they concerned? So I just had to bring this out, Senator, this part right here. Now, I appreciate the fact that this bill only addressed one verse, okay? I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that they can play it, sing it, or whatever. The only question I want to ask you about that is this. Would it being played or sung at a sporting event qualify for once a week? I mean, at the school. Okay, I realize that if it's on the road, because your bill says that.
Yeah, the school board will develop a policy.
It says that the school board can develop a policy. Where is that on here? What page that's on? You got your bill with you?
The synopsis says this bill would propose an amendment to the Constitution of Alabama of 2022 relating to the public K through 12 schools to require local boards of education to adopt policies requiring each public K through 12 schools to broadcast or sanction the performance of the first stanzas of the Star Spangled Banner at least once per week during school hours. Then on
I see where it is.
on line 18, it starts there, and
It's on page 3. I found it. It's on page 3. It's starting with line 58, and you come all the way down to 66. It's in there. I see exactly what you're saying. Well, Senator, I'm going to say this to you, is that you share with me a good provision of that song being sung by Whitney Houston, and she sung it up. She did a good job of singing it. She sung that first stanza, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. And with that in mind, I'm going to yield the mic back, and I think this senator may have something to discuss with you regarding that.
Mr. President,
Senator Figures, you recognized.
thank you. Senator Allen, first of all, let me say I am so proud to be an American. And I love singing the Star Spangled Banner. I just don't think it should be a constitutional amendment because, you know, we have the longest constitution, I think, in the world, and somebody corrected me and said that India has one longer than us, but I know we have the longest one in the country. So I don't think it should go in the Constitution. However, I do have an amendment just to honor you with this bill.
All right,
I'd like to
desk-
offer an amendment, Mr. President.
Desk read and receive the amendment.
Amendment to Senate Bill Number 5 by Senator Figures. Replace line 72 on page 3 with the following.
Excuse me, before you read the amendment, could we quiet down a little bit so we can hear this amendment? No, I have a copy. Here you are.
All right, the amendment fits. Senator Figures.
Replace line 72 on page 3 with the following. Band program, choral program, vocal group, or vocalist. Section C, as long as Senator Gerald Allen is a member of the Alabama State Senate, he will personally sing the Star Spangled Banner at the beginning of each day the Senate convenes.
I'll help you. I move for adoption of the amendment using previous role without objection.
Is there any objection to previous roll? Yes, I see 3 objections in the chamber. Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chasteen. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shellnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
Six ayes, 17 nays. Senator Figurs' amendment fails.
Mr. President,
Senator Figurs.
you know, I knew it wouldn't pass, or I believed that it would not pass, but I thought we needed a laugh after this long day. And honestly, all of you who voted no, you hurt Senator Allen's feelings because he did not ask you to vote no on this amendment. But in any event, I just thought we needed a light moment. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Senator Allen.
Mr. President, I move passes using a long roll.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Ms. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shellnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
Twenty-two ayes, 5 nays. Senate Bill 5 passes. Thank you, Senator Allen.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Secretary, call the next bill.
Mr. President.
On page 11 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 57 by Senators Orr and others regarding public assistance. BR pending.
Senator Orr.
Mr. President, I'd move adoption of the BR using the long roll or.
All right, Secretary, call the long roll.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Allen. Mr. Barfoot. Mr. Beasley. Mr. Bell. Mr. Butler. Mr. Carnley. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Chastain. Ms. Coleman. Ms. Coleman Madison. Mr. Elliott. Figures. Mr. Gavan. Mr. Gudger. Mr. Hatcher. Mr. Hovey. Mr. Jones. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kitchens. Mr. Livingston. Mr. Melson. Mr. Orr. Mr. Price. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Sessions. Mr. Shellnut. Mr. Singleton. Mr. Smitherman. Mr. Stewart. Mr. Stutz. Mr. Wagner. Ms. Weaver. Mr. Williams. Mr. Woods.
23 ayes, 2 nays. The BR is adopted. Secretary, call the bill.
On page 11 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 57 by Senators Orr and others regarding public assistance. Committee amendment pending.
All right, Senator Orr. On the
Thank you,
committee
Mr.
amendment.
President. Yeah, right. We've got 2 committee amendments and I got a floor amendment. I'd move adoption of committee amendment number 1 using the previous roll.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
23 ayes, 2 nays. The committee amendment number 1 is adopted. All right, Senator Orr.
Move, I think we have a second committee amendment.
All right, Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move adoption of committee amendment number 2 using the previous roll.
All right, any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
23 ayes, 2 nays. Committee amendment number 2 is adopted. All right, Senator Orr.
Mr. President, I have an amendment.
All right, Secretary, read and receive the amendment, please.
Amendment to Senate Bill number 57 by Senator Orr. Replace lines 27 through 28 on page 1 with the following. Replace line 63 on page 3 with the following.
Mr. President, I'd move adoption of the amendment using the previous roll.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Mr. Albritton. Mr. Woods.
23 ayes, 2 nays. Senator Orr, amendment's adopted. All right, Senator Orr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move third reading using the previous roll.
All right, any objection?
I want to be recognized.
All right, you're
for a minute.
recognized.
Look, you know, we're going to take the little sweets from the children.
No, we're
That's
not
the fact
taking the
that we
sweets
take
from
the
the
sweets
children.
from the children.
No.
Dude, what, you know, I told you I was going to ask you this. So they don't know this, but you know what I'm getting ready to ask you. You know, we got the free lunches. Can we add some sweets for the kids in the free lunches?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, can we have a little?
Because the sugar will not be the number one ingredient in any of those lunches.
What's the sweetener that they use when people can't use that's on diabetes?
Aspartame, Splenda, stevia, some of those.
But it's called something. Malt fruit. Isn't that
High
right?
fructose corn syrup.
Malt fruit. It's called malt fruit. That's what it's called. It's a sweetener. That's not sugar.
This doesn't apply to that.
So if they get the malt fruit, they can be all right. Okay.
All right.
All right, good enough then. I'm gonna yield back to you and let you move forward.
All right,
All right,
Senator
I'd
Orr.
move third reading, Mr. President, using the previous roll.
Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
Thanks, Steve.
Mr. Albritton, Mr. Woods.
23 ayes, 2 nays. Senate Bill 57 passes. Thank you, Senator Orr. All right,
Mr.
Senator
President.
Melson,
I'd like to take a point of personal privilege.
you're recognized.
I know everybody's hungry tonight, but Senator Allen, March 3rd, 1931, what happened? The Star Spangled Banner was adopted as our national anthem. So congratulations on your bill passage today. It's been how many years? It seems like 95, exactly. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Senator Melson. All right, Senator Singleton, did you need him? Okay. Senator Gudger.
Mr. President, it's been a wonderful, easy, wonderful night for everybody to get together and just fellowship a little bit, but we're making a motion to adjourn until 9 a.m. on Thursday, March 5th.
All right, you heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. President.